cold. Or not nice.
People actually do that? Deep fried stuff?
No, they do it with like the frozen. What's that frozen liquid?
Ice cream.
They do candy where like they do it like super cold. What is it called?
Nobody's ever deep fried Sour Patch
Dippin'
Kids.
Dots?
Hello and welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Hello and welcome.
This is Andrew's podcast. I mean, called the Greater Meaning Podcast. Andrew, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan, and as always, our illustrious Joshua.
The most illustrious.
Hello, my name's Josh, coming to you from Australia.
That's like the worst Australian accent.
The funny thing is,
I've ever heard.
He looks Australian.
He looks like he should. Yeah, Josh looks. He looks.
Let me just get my bender and my bow, and I'll go get you
You don't
so
big
bad.
old,
So
a
bad.
big old cracker, mate. A big old cracker.
Oh man, that's the worst.
It sounds like he's
ever.
saying crack.
Big old cracky, mate. It's so bad.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well,
That's
guys,
great.
I'm very excited to get into this episode. We're at episode 32 of the Greater Meaning Podcast, our journey through the Bible, where we tell the stories of the Bible in chronological order and discover God's plan of salvation for humanity through Jesus Christ throughout the story. I am going to look like a news reporter, having, for the first time in our podcast history, have printed out on hard paper the notes to the podcast instead of doing
Because he
it
doesn't
with a
trust his tablet. That's why.
What I'm realizing now is that I had like links to click on on my notes that I won't be able to click on to certain articles, but that's gonna be okay.
I have a cup of ice.
He will be crunching on those later.
And I have a notebook.
Today we continue our journey through the book of Numbers. We're covering chapters numbers 22 to 26. In the last episode, we left the Israelites after they defeated the Amorite King Sihon, and the giant king Og of Bashan. Now they are camped in the plains of Moab, and the Moabite king Balak is looking for a way to defeat the Israelites without directly confronting them. He notices that this large group of people have moved into his land and nearby, and he's scared.
Not just a large group of people. It's like living in Chicago, going to sleep and waking up and seeing New York pop up right next to you.
Chicago is somewhere over
No,
here.
I'm saying like the amount of
not
people
right.
that just showed up. It's just a whole city of people showed up.
Over 600,000 fighting men, at the very least, without including, like, you know, the elderly, the women, the children, the animals.
That's like more fighting men than the country of what? Like Sudan?
Yeah, yes.
Sudan.
Yeah, yes.
Not Sedan.
I'm Googling this now.
Not like a.
What a crazy
Not
reference.
like that's not like, can I buy a?
The
You looking for a
size-
sedan or a coupe?
The size
It's the Sudan.
of
Well, we
the
do know that they could
Army
not
of
fit
Sudan.
in a sedan.
Let me know how to spell Sudan.
Sudan. S-U-D, dude. It's not
Whatever.
that many D's. Why'd you put 3 D's?
Sudanese armed forces.
Why would there be 3 D's in Sudan?
I want to know how much.
The Sudanese armed forces is estimated to be around 200,000 active personnel.
There you go.
3 times the size of the Sudanese forces. Thank you, Josh, for that reference here.
Not Sudan, though.
Yeah, not Sudan.
Sudan. Just like Boudan.
Again, nothing to do with the Israelites and Moab.
Well, we do know now that Israel could take over Sudan.
That's true. The king Balak of the Moabites was extremely distressed.
Man, people are going to think we're special needs.
We are at this point, because this is what we do. It's fine.
He's chewing on the Sour Patch.
There are so many.
Yeah,
Yeah, why are you eating Sour Patch Kids?
Israel can beat him.
Leave me alone. I'm having a great time here. All right,
I'm glad. This is
this
going to be
is
a
my
fun
time.
episode.
to be
Guys, we're going to
myself.
talk about portals in this episode
No, we're not.
so much.
We're not going to
Oh
This
my
is going to be
goodness,
so off the
yes, we
wall.
are.
I'm just letting you, if you're expecting
Listen,
a Bible podcast this episode.
We have talking donkeys. We have like wizards trying
This
to curse
guy's like
people.
a Satanist.
He's not a Satanist at all, actually. But I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
You're a wizard, Harry.
We're talking about Balaam and Balaam's donkey. Jeez.
You're a wizard, Balaam.
That's not even what he sounded like.
Welcome to
I can't do that
Hogwarts.
guy's voice.
People have already stopped clicking. Like, they left the episode. It's over. Like, we could just go ahead and just take our time from here on out. Because I've seen so many serious, like, well-produced Bible podcasts out there now.
That's not us. If you're listening, that's not us.
Yeah, we can't afford a lot of takes.
Producers are
Can't
good
afford
equipment.
high production.
We
This is
literally
what you
just do
get.
this. We do this. I don't know why anymore. But with our
It started with a
300
dream.
followers, and I'm probably super
Hey,
exaggerating.
that's just social media platforms. We actually have, like, over, 1,000 subscribers.
our whole family listens and judges us secretly.
We're
Anyway, let's get back to this. Come on. Balaam, Balak, donkeys, portals.
So Numbers 22 begins with the Israelites moving into the land of Moab, or the plains of Moab, on their way to the promised land. They're camped, it says, directly across of Jericho before they cross the Jordan River. King Balak was greatly distressed. Actually, Nathan, I'm going to have you read the first 4 verses of Numbers chapter 22 to introduce kind of the setting and some of the characters. What we're going to find is that the next couple chapters are actually going to take us away from the narrative of directly being with the Israelites, and it's actually going to be from the point of view of a couple extra Israelite characters.
Then all right. That's just
then the
Numbers 22, verse 1. Then the children of Israel moved and camped in the plains of Moab on the side of Jordan across from Jericho.
Yeah,
You just said this. Why are you making me read this?
just read it.
Now Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. And Moab was exceedingly afraid of the people because there were many. And Moab was sick with dread because of the children of Israel. So Moab said to the elders of Midian, "Now this company will lick up everything around us, as an ox licks up the grass of the field." What? And Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of the Moabites at the time. That's it?
Yeah, it's everything I just said, but I wanted you to read the verses so it can, establish that.
You're not lying.
No, I'm not lying. So he was so afraid. He uses a very interesting phrase. He says they would lick up everything around us as an ox licks up the grass of the field.
That's interesting.
It's a way to describe what he feared. He wasn't afraid that he was going to be overtaken. He was afraid that they were going to suck up the resources of his people, of his kingdom. And you have to think about what happened up until now with King Og, which was a 6-city, kingdom, if you will, and King Sihon from the Amorites. He would have been the weaker of those parties. So he sees these people destroy these 2 more powerful kingdoms that were kind of keeping them under wraps, and now they have some semblance of power and freedom, and they're worried that they're going to be sucked up by another larger force yet again. And what you're going to see here is that he employs some tactics, but it's important to remember exactly who the Moabites were. If you guys remember,
who were the
specifically.
Moabites? Huh?
Well, one thing that's going to come up is that the Moabites and the Midianites are going to be kind of used interchangeably here in the story, and that can be kind of confusing because if you remember correctly, Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, was a Midianite. He was a priest of Midian.
Yeah.
And the Moabites so Midian was a child of Abraham and Keturah back in the day after Abraham's second wife, after Sarah passes away. And then Moab was a incest baby that was born from the union of Lot and one of his daughters after the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and the other cities when they ran from Zoar into the cave. And remember, his daughters got him drunk, and then they lay with him to preserve that bloodline, to preserve that family lineage that they knew was important. And Moab was one of the first children, as well as Ammon, who would be the leader of would later become the Amorites.
So these are
But it's
just
important to
nations derived from basically problem child?
This is nations that are related to the Israelites in some faraway connection. And another interesting thing is that he was so afraid of the Israelites, but he shouldn't have been, because God didn't call them to take over his land. He was never going to instruct them to
but I mean,
conquer the land of the Moabites.
When you get that many people going through an area, you're going to expect them to completely, I don't know, wipe everything out. Like, you see the trail. Like you can't miss the trail that they just left. So obviously to feed these people, because from what it seems like, the Israelites were not only just living off of the manna. If they were going through a city, they were going to eat everything that was around that city.
Yeah,
right?
It's the same reason why the Edomites, or the children of Esau, would like refuse them passage on the king's highway, and they made them kind of go around the long way. It's because there's such a large imposing force going through these areas that they're just not only that, but they're killing giant kings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you have, I don't know, a house, right, and then all of a sudden 1,000 people came up to your door and say, "Hey, can we walk through your yard?" What would you say? I would say, no, you can't just walk through my yard. Go around.
I would do what Balak does, and he would literally straight up, call an interesting character into play here. And this is going to be kind of the main character of the episode, a man named Balaam.
Yeah, but I mean, with Balaam coming in, with the elders of Midian, which is, I mean,
spending a lot of time on the crazy.
I know,
parts.
Yeah, because we kind of have to. We kind of have to talk a little bit why. What's going on?
They're scared that you're going to.
Yeah,
the resources.
A bunch of them are there, but the elders of Midian are there, and that's the interesting part, because technically, by geographical, at this time, they're not supposed to be there. Like, their nation is further away. So why are the elders of Midian with the Moab king?
Because technically they're like the nation of Midian were very nomadic. They kind of traveled around, and
exactly
a lot of them they lived nearby
nomads.
Each other. That's what it was. They were kind of united in this fear. Because remember, Jethro's passed away at this point. A lot of time has passed. Jethro is 40 years, and
the elders
Moses. And they are just now a separate nation, afraid of the other nation. So, Nathan, I'm going to have you read the next couple verses to show kind of like, so now that we've built this up, we see that King Balak of the Moabites, he's extremely afraid. He, instead of raising an army to kind of fight directly against the Israelites, he employs a very interesting tactic to try to defeat them. Read until verse 6, please. Or read to verse 7, but just finish with 6.
Then he sent messengers to Balaam, the son of Beor, at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, "Look, a people has come from Egypt. See, they cover the face of the earth and are settling next to me. Therefore, please come at once, curse these people for me, for they are too mighty. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed." So he calls a wizard.
He calls a seer, is what he's known as. He's known as Balaam the seer. And this is such an interesting character in the Bible, because he's not an Israelite, and he's also not like a Moabite or a Midianite that has any type of root from Abraham or some type of Semitic lineage. He's a separate character from what's known as, a lot of people believe it's debatable, but modern day Syria, or, the Transjordan area of Pethor. It was a city, again, it's kind of hard to mention exactly, but like modern day, like, I want to say Iraq. Start point.
Well, I imagine Balaam with the look of, like, he's a very golden brown type of skin color with this fancy, not turban, but like almost like a shawl, put on, with only one big kind of like golden earring, and then you could see that he has gold bracelets on, and he's walking around with some mighty power. This Balaam fella, Balaam the seer.
That was an awesome description.
If I Google, I'm going to look up Balaam.
The first picture of Balaam.
No, because Andrew Googled a picture of Balaam, and it was the weirdest thing.
It was literally him on the famous Balaam and the donkey, which we're going to get to later, but he's known as being an ancient seer or a diviner, someone that can call upon spirits or prophetic words from different gods and goddesses, and people would hire him to curse other armies that they would fight against or to bless other people. And it was pretty much a prophet for hire. He was a very interesting character because Balak, he's well known. He's successful. He's like, I know what you bless is blessed, and I know what you curse is cursed. And that means that he was somebody that was renowned. And what Balak essentially does is he sends some of the princes of Midian and the elders of Moab and he sends them with a diviner's fee, meaning that they sent him with this intention to hire them so that he could come and curse the people of Israel so that he could destroy them.
At the same time, it's not like he came out with like, this is my price. They sent a request to him and then saying, hey, if you come and do this, we'll reward you for whatever you're doing. So it's not
verse 7 says specifically, they departed with the diviner's fee in their hand. So they came to Balak and spoke to them, said, come with us. They sent him because there was a well-known, like, you have to bring him something.
Okay. So there's like $150 just surcharge no matter what.
It's on retainer no matter what. He's like an ancient evil wizard lawyer. Like, no matter what, if you want to talk to him and have him work for you.
You got to show up with some money.
You got to show up with something. And what's interesting is when the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian that are sent by King Balak reach Balaam and they offer this, it's how he responds. Because again, he's not, I don't want to say he's a servant of God, but he's definitely doing something to where he elicits a response, and he's known to be effective in what he does. And he's probably one of the more mysterious figures up until this point, other than like Melchizedek and some of these other like very short characters that pop into the story, and then it just brings up so many more questions than it does like.
Well, I gotta put him in a weird way, kind of a little bit. I would say he relates at this point, at this moment in time. I would say a little bit almost like Jethro, but also it's also like Jethro and like Moses. Okay, because they're people that have a connection with God and have a special ability to do supernatural things with the connection with the God. Or gods, like plural. So we see who is there. It's the elders of Midian, right? So the elders of Midian are there, and they call out. I don't know who it was exactly, if it was Balak or the elders of Midian, but we know that they're talking, and they say, "Hey, we need to find somebody. Go after Balaam." That doesn't necessarily mean that Balaam is a Midianite or a Moabite. He's whatever you were saying earlier, he's a Syrian man.
Yeah, we've established this. What are you saying? You're just repeating what I just said.
I'm trying to say that he was from the region, and obviously he
wasn't. He was from far away.
Well, yeah, you are right. It was about 300 miles. Okay.
Some people say it was 400 miles away from where it was like out of the way.
It was a very far distance, but either way, the fact of the matter is that the elders of Midian were agreeing to this. So if the elders of Midian were reaching out to a man that, let's say, quote unquote, does sorcery, and Jethro was a priest of Midian, then that means, in other words, if I'm going to put the two and two together, I would kind of say that if he's a priest of Midian, he was appointed and anointed probably by the elders of Midian, because they're not just going to allow anyone to be a certain type of priest of that nation without basically the sword on the shoulder type of like, I anoint you, you're a priest.
Are you saying Balaam was a priest of Midian?
I'm not saying Balaam was a priest of Midian. I'm saying that
it didn't say anything about that. You're reading way too much into that. It was the elders. It was people of prestige. The people that are important. So it was a gesture.
But it
of
was
respect.
The elders, the people of prestige of Midian, and Jethro is of Midian.
Yeah, but Jethro is long dead. It didn't say that they were priests of Midian. They distinguished specifically the elders that were.
But I was relating Jethro to Balaam.
Yeah, but they're different. Jethro comes from the lineage of Abraham. They would have had that knowledge passed down of Elohim, or the God of
And same
Abraham.
thing with Balaam. Balaam seems like he has the knowledge passed down to him.
So
whether
if we continue
it was by
with the story,
bastard children, I don't know, but it was passed down.
So this is what we have to understand about this ancient Near Eastern world, is that Balaam, though he's far away, this is a post Noah, post Shem and Ham and their children. There were people that still remember or had passed along knowledge of the one God, the creator God, the one of Noah, the one that saved humanity. I mean, just because they're in different parts of the world and they're not part of the Hebrew or Semitic line, there was knowledge of this in other places, but there was also knowledge of other gods and other beings.
I mean, what is one of the names of God? The God of God, the God of nations. So he doesn't only have one nation; he's the God of all nations, right?
He's the God of everything. But he was known by those who actually like an interesting character like Balaam, who spent his life probably learning about other gods and practices and knowing how. Because even what he does is, when he gets into the later part where he actually tries to curse, he offers sacrifices in a specific way to try to elicit a response from God. So there is a bit of foreknowledge in this character that we have to understand, probably derived from his culture and his research. But if we look at what happens when the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian come to Balaam, Balaam responds with very interesting responses. And here he tells them, stay the night and let me see if God speaks with me. So the princes of Moab stayed with Balaam, and it says that God came to him at night. And Nathan, if you want to read from verse 9 onward to see how God actually comes and speaks to Balaam after they bring a offering, diviner's fee, and tried to hire him to curse the children of Israel.
Then God came to Balaam and said, "Who are these men with you?" And so Balaam said to God, "Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent to me, saying, Look, a people has come out of Egypt, and they cover the face of the earth. Come now, curse them for me. Perhaps I shall be able to overpower them and drive them out." And God said to Balaam, "You shall not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed." So Balaam rose in the morning and said to the princes of Balak, "Go back to your land, for the Lord has refused to give me permission to go with you."
It's like, it's Balak or Balak. It's funny because you're struggling with these words.
No. I'm trying to pick which one I like more as I'm saying it.
Which one do you like more?
It's to be determined.
I don't want to answer.
So not only is this person not a Israelite, and not only does he assumingly able to curse and bless other people based on what we know from the context of the story so far, but he's also someone who God deems worthy enough to appear in a dream and actually respond. And not respond, it doesn't say like he's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe God appeared to me, I was afraid." He responds, he's like expected, like, let's see what God says. And he makes his point very clear, and he'll repeat this point continuously. "I will only say and do what God says for me to say and do." Yes, Nathan, drink the ice.
No, but you're right. It's so what I like about this at this moment, because he's depicted so terribly, and we'll see why he's depicted so terribly. But
actually, it's the opposite. In this story, will later in the Bible, he will be known in hindsight as a wicked prophet, one that seeks after
yes, but at the moment,
seeks after monetary gain.
They were mad at him because he's
doing the right thing. We see that he's trying to do the right thing, and he sends them away. And guess what? This is snail mail, bro. By the time they go back, that's 300-400 miles later. They go back to Moab, and then another 300-400 miles later, they come back to Balaam. So this is probably about what? I mean, like, it's got to be over a month.
Couple weeks at least. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would have been a kind of a journey.
Because they're doing probably, I would say, maybe like with the camels and everything, I would say 30 to 40 miles a day. Maybe more, but I don't think so.
So if it's a couple weeks. But it's this isn't the only character that we've seen up until this point where God reveals himself and speaks to directly. If you remember from chapter 20 in Genesis, when Abimelech, God, remember he shows up to Abimelech and he kind of, and he
you will die.
To him. It's like, yeah, you will die. How dare you take it? He's like, what? I didn't, It's like, oh, am I guilty? It's interesting because this is like something that is, I don't know. I just find this extremely fascinating because Balaam is kind of presented almost like in a righteous sense, and in the context of chapters 22 to 24, and the fact that he is refused, and Balaam straight up says that I'm not going, and the princes and the elders return, and Balak is like, what are you talking about? I just said because he's never refused before.
He has no actual ties to these people. So he could kind of care less about these people. All he cares about is God or the gods.
He cares. That's the weird thing about him is like, he seems like he cares only about God, but at the same time, Balak sent more princes, more elders, more illustrious and more
Here's the thing. If he didn't care about God, God would not have kept showing up to him. You know what I mean?
That's not necessarily true, because one of the underlying themes of this story and one of the things or the messages I bring from it is that this is outside of the picture of like the Israelites over there just chilling in the plains. They have no idea what's going on right now. They have no idea someone's plotting on their downfall and wanting to curse them behind their back. But this is what it means to be blessed by the Lord, is that even when you don't know what's going on in the background by your enemies behind your back, God, once he blesses you, he's got you. And this is like showing us exactly how intricately God is protecting the Israelites from other enemy nations that are around them without them even knowing. It's actually quite incredible. And we see Balak actually sends princes more numerous, more honorable back to him. And it said to Balak, Nathan, if you want to read from verse 16.
I mean, it's better. I'm not going to, because we're just stopping to read a lot. Let's just go through the thing, because, no? I mean, okay, I'll read. Because I'm just saying, at this point, we're just kind of like reading.
I want to know, every single time they show up, do they keep showing up with the sorcerer's fee?
Yeah.
They came back with more of a fee.
Yeah, they keep coming back with more and more.
So he hasn't been paid to do what he is called to do, but he's being paid, and pretty well.
What's interesting is that he's not paid at all yet. He's promised to be paid, and it's an important distinction because later we'll see why. But he's not even promised more honor. He literally said, or more money. He's promised more honor, and is like, he literally says, "For let nothing hinder you, for I will certainly honor you with greatly, and whatever you say to me, therefore please come and curse this people for me." And Balaam, instead of standing,
that's not like the Mulan type of like, oh, you will do this for honor. That's basically him saying, I will honor your request of whatever you tell me. Just come and do it, and then I'll give you whatever you ask.
Don't I have the power to honor my word? Is essentially what he responds to.
Yeah.
And
the interesting verse is 18, because Balaam answered and said to the servants of Balak. I know it's not Balak.
We're going to go back and forth. I'm sure the listeners will
Though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more. He's saying that the Lord, the God, is his Lord, his God.
It's interesting, yeah.
Now, therefore, please, you also stay here tonight, that I may know what more the Lord will say to me. And God came to Balaam at night and said to him, if the men call you again, rise and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you, that you shall do. So Balaam rose in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the princes of Moab.
Donkey. Sorry. Yeah. Why would Balaam, after getting a clear response from God, feel the need to ask again? I mean, I know they came and they're like, please, but it's like God was pretty like clear. No, these people are blessed. So what would he need to go for? He knows that the only reason they're calling him to go is so that he can curse them. And for him to go back and to go before God and ask again, and then God, because this brings up a big confusing point for a lot of people. It's like, why did God say go and then the next part of the story happened? Because God says go, but only say what I say to say. You know,
this is where we're gonna get in a little bit of a hustle and tussle here, because
where are the portals?
Wait, because we're not there yet, bro.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Take it easy with Doctor Strange.
We're here.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah. What I was
saying, Josh?
I don't even. He stopped me with this is what I was saying. This is what I was saying.
The dog from Family Guy because the donkey speaks.
This is literally Shrek we're talking about.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Just wait.
That's so bad. It's
I
like
have
Brian
it.
could
I
talk,
have.
but...
I have Shrek as part of my notes.
Oh, of course you do.
Either way,
the DreamWorks movie this time.
So, what you were just saying, Andrew, that we see that God basically tells him, "Don't curse him," and then why is Balaam chasing? Almost like because we see that he wakes up in the morning, saddles his donkey, and goes with them. But at the same time, God did say to Balaam, "If the men come and come to call you, rise and go with them. But only the word which I speak to you, that you shall do." So there's a clear order there. Like God gives him a clear command, and he's going to go do it. And the fact of the matter, because if you want, you can tell your side, and then I'm gonna come back because it wouldn't make sense for me to say what I'm about to say if you don't say what you're about to say.
Say what you want to say.
I guess I'll say what I was going to say.
Say what you want.
He wants me to say it first so he can be like, no, actually.
Exactly.
Well, I don't understand. What is there to say? It's kind of literal.
It's literally, he said, don't go. And he saddles his... Balaam has this attitude of he's kind of like, I can't go. God is I have to do what he says. And God's like, okay, go, but only say... He's like, all right, cool. He like saddles his donkey. He's like, I can see him so excited to go because he's like, knows he's made a bigger paycheck this time. And literally says, Nathan, you really, come on, man.
Here I go with cursing again.
Here I go killing again. Here I go killing again. Please don't with the ice anymore, man.
I'm not.
It's crazy. Then God's anger was aroused because he went and the angel of the Lord took his stand in the way as an adversary against him. So God instructs him to go. Now, there's a repeating Christophany that we've talked about in the Old Testament where angel of the Lord, or different instances where an angel we've said that it could be a pre-incarnate version of Jesus appearing. I think that here when an angel of the Lord came and stood in the way of Balaam as he was traveling to Balak in Moab, I think it's a separate, and it's actually an angel as opposed to like a pre-incarnate Christ that stood in the way.
Yeah, 100%.
I wanted to distinguish that because there are two different narrative pieces here. It wasn't as if God came down again and then, because God spoke and then you have an angel kind of moving in accordance with the anger of the Lord, and it's a separate entity there. So I think it's important to distinguish that because as a podcast we've talked a lot about that, like the angel of the Lord. Not every single time you see angels mentioned in the Old Testament doesn't mean that it's Jesus, and I think it's important that we have an instance that we can use as an example that it's not.
Well, I kind of think that it's almost a little bit derogatory to call Jesus an angel, right? Because he's not an angel.
No. I mean, he was, like I said before, we've referred to different, like the angel of the Lord in certain instances where like the angel that wrestled with God, with Jacob, right? We took that as a pre-incarnate version. He said, I wrestled with God, and then that angel that met with Abraham on the way where Abraham interceded for Sodom and Gomorrah. Obviously that one was of more authority, was different than the other two angels that kept going on the path. Why would he feel the need to intercede for that one specifically? When angels, I know, but even in that story, it didn't necessarily call them angels. It said that 3 men, and then they were servants of the Lord, and we, as people, have taken them and said that they were angels. Yeah, I mean, it's well known that they weren't heavenly. Like when Abraham saw that, he recognized that they were from God. He got up and served them and wanted to do everything he could, just like Lot recognized them because
I think it was clear.
Here. This is a very famous story. It's the only other instance in the Bible, I believe, where an animal is able to speak other than the serpent in the garden. And Balaam, on his way to Moab, is riding his donkey. And it says that the angel of the Lord was standing in the way with his sword drawn. And the donkey turned aside and went away into the field. So Balaam strikes his donkey and beats it. And the donkey then turned her back on the road.
Great.
Then the angel came and stood in a narrow path between the vineyard and the wall on one side. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, he pushed herself along the wall and crushed Balaam's foot. So you could see Balaam riding the donkey, and literally, in order to not hit the angel, he kind of like crushed it when Balaam got mad and hit the donkey and beat it again. And a third time, an angel, like he straightened it up, and the angel went further down a narrow path where there was no way to turn left or right. It was literally right in the middle of the road. And instead of continuing crushing his foot or going to the left and right, the donkey just knelt down. And Balaam struck it again. And what the Lord does here in verse 28 is it's mind-boggling. It really is. It's, after Balaam's anger beats the donkey so many times, it says that
the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, "Bro, come on. What have I done to you that you struck me these 3 times?" And Balaam said to the donkey, "You're talking? Because you have abused me. I wish there were a sword in my hand, for now I would kill you." So the donkey said to Balaam, "Am I not your donkey on which you have ridden ever since I became yours to this day? Was I ever disposed to do this to you?" And he said, "No."
Keep going.
Oh. And then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand. And he bowed his head and fell flat on his face.
This is just, you're right. Your initial reaction isn't. The crazy thing about this story is that Balaam didn't go, "What?" He literally was like, responded as if this is just normal. He was that angry.
Yes. I don't think it was his anger. I literally think that he was so used to seeing supernatural and weird things like this happen because it seems like he was a legit freaking wizard. That's what it was.
Wizard Balaam.
Like he was a wizard. So this wasn't, I don't think it was out of the ordinary for him.
Andrew,
I guess actually. I didn't think about that.
Was he a wizard? You didn't think of that about that?
I didn't think that he was so used to the supernatural. I probably should have. I was more taken aback at, like, even if you're a wizard and you see ghosts and you hear voices and you can, commune with a donkey that just turns around and is like, "Man, stop!"
He was just speaking to God like not too long ago. Before.
Yeah, I get it, but how many times has your pet spoke to you?
Do you really want the answer to that question?
No, I actually don't.
Well,
hey, Josh, you have like goats and ducks and stuff. What would you do if your goat, like, you're trying to throw him into whatever, and he just turns around and was like, "Hey, man, I'm trying to mate."
If God just came and talked to me that very night, and then the next day, while I'm on a mission for the Lord, and a donkey started to talk to me. Wait, because no,
I'm letting you go. Go.
I know, and a donkey started talking to me. Yes, I would be kind of taken aback, but then again, I am not a wizard. Okay,
it's true.
So
you're not.
But in regards to all this, because I didn't get to hit back to what I was saying before with God saying don't go, and then Balaam actually going.
Yes, let's go backwards. The talking donkey.
We'll get back to the talking donkey because we heard your side, and now I want to say my side.
Okay, Josh.
With Balaam, that first instance when God said don't go, that was one separate moment. The princes go back to Balak. Then Balak sends more princes, comes back to Balaam, and that's where God actually says, "Hey, go with them, but only do and say what I tell you to say." So it's not like he was, I'm not going to say that he was being disobedient, because God did tell him at that point, go with them. Because not only that, God says, if they come to call to you, and what did they do? When they show up, they're obviously coming to call him to come and bring him back. So that's exactly what he does. The fact of the matter of
you didn't say anything new. Yeah. You wanted to say that so bad, but we get it. He wasn't, that's the point that was confusing. But the point,
But that's what you're trying to say is that the fact that God got mad at him was because he actually
got mad. He got mad because he went and because he knew the intentions of Balaam's heart. He knew that he wasn't going to just be a pure servant of God or somebody to be completely righteous. He was excited for an opportunity he wasn't going to just hang out or to go and just, God says no. He even when he gets there, he's going to go with the intentions of doing evil and being directed to do well. Not because he thinks it's good, but because God uses whom he wants and does what he wants. Even if God wants to open the mouth of a donkey, he can do that. And it's kind of like one-upping Balaam right there. God is showing him like, you who are supposed to be this renowned seer, you couldn't even see what was in front of you. Your beast had to try to save your life because if you would have kept going, you would have been struck down. God is showing him that he's the one that has the final word. You might think you can do all these divining and seeing and prophetic visions and raising demonic spirits or whatever have you, curses and blessings. But at the end of the day, God is the one who gives sight. God is the one who opens up eyes. And the implications in that part is so interesting because how much around us do we not see? Like what's really going around? Like how many times are we
This is the way that I'm going to put it to you with Balaam and this whole thing. The interesting question is here is why is God telling Balaam that he can only say exactly what he tells him to say when it comes to the aspect of also the blessings and the curses? Okay?
In regards to Israel.
Yes, in regards to Israel. I get that. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting that I'm not saying that Balaam has more power than God. But the thing is that Balaam obviously has a certain type of power given to him, or he acquired some type of way to create this sorcery and witchcraft on his own. I don't know. But the thing is,
he's effective.
If you look at it this way, God gave me two hands, okay? Right, I got two hands. God gave me two hands. Now, if I choose to throw something at you, that is because I used my hands to throw something at you, right? That is the power of my hands. Now, God could stop me, but he has given us free will to do what we want. Okay. So Balaam obviously has this, I'm going to just say this Hogwarts wizard type of power that if he blesses or curses someone, it's happening. Now, God is not happy, it seems like, because Balaam has this type of power, and I'm not saying that God is scared. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that probably God is not happy at the moment that, okay, Balaam is going with them. Maybe because what if there is a slight chance that Balaam doesn't follow what God says, and God gets angry? We see that he is
building up too much of you're saying the same thing.
Can I say what you're trying to say, that God doesn't want to be put into a box where he's like, I'm forced to curse them now?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of what Balaam says. Because of what Balaam says.
Everything Balaam says, he has a reputation that it comes true, and you're scared, and you're like, well, God, to prevent him from uttering a curse, he just boxes him up.
He boxes them up
because God doesn't want to be forced to curse them.
I think he also does this on purpose in a way of showing Balaam, hey, just letting you know, I am serious about this situation, and I am serious about my people, the Israelites, that if you go, don't curse them. You will follow what I have to say.
Well, I don't. So let me take this one. I don't think that God. I think it's more along that second part you just said. Like, you ever heard the Muhammad Ali's famous saying, "If you even dream that you could beat me, you better wake up and apologize." It's more like along the lines of that. Like, God is like, well, you don't even pretend to have a bad intent. That's my chosen people. You're not even allowed to pretend to want to curse. You're not even allowed to want it. Like, you just do as I say. Like, you have no, and even if you, God, me forbid if you do curse them. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like the attitude I look at it as. Like, it's like in The Sopranos when Corrado's in prison. He finds out that people are bad mouthing him outside, and they kill the guy that's just bad mouthing.
Yeah.
You're just not allowed to have bad intentions on God's chosen people, especially if you're somebody that has like
A reputation.
that actually could hear the voice of God, and knows like what God's will is. You're not allowed to just have this like nonchalant, oh yeah, I'll curse. Like he's trying to make it known, like, nah, man, you're Balaam, right? But these are the chosen.
Balaam, you're taking away some of his free will. I mean, he makes his point clear. Yeah, he is someone that goes after money, but at this point, he makes it, even when he meets, and now he's the angel tells him essentially, why have you struck your donkey 3 times? He kind of asks him in this way, and he responds, it's because he didn't, do what I said. Surely I would have if I had a sword, I would kill it right now. And the Lord kind of was like, because you stood in my way, you were trying to do what I told you not to do, I'm the one that stood, and your donkey saved you. And the angel then says, go with the men, but he repeats that, only the words I speak to you that you shall speak. And Balaam went with the princes of Balak, but he makes it clear when he meets with Balak, when he hears that Balaam's coming, he runs out from the city to meet him early. He's like, oh my God, he's here. Thank God. And he goes, is like, how come you didn't come the first time I called you? Did you not realize I earnestly sent for you? Do you not think I'm able to honor you or to bless you or to give you what you want? And he says, look, I have come now. Now have I any power in anything? The word that God puts in my mouth, that I must speak. So he's establishing from the beginning that anything that happens from here, I need you to understand that it's not going to go the way you want it to go. I'm just going to say what God wants me to say. You wanted me here so bad because you thought you could do this. Balaam himself is establishing that from the beginning. He's not saying, I'm going to do my best. He's saying, what God says to do and say is what I'll do and say. He prefaces that. So,
and that's what he does.
If you look at it like, yeah, God was upset, whatever, but there's also this aspect of like, he wants the fame and the money, but he also realizes because of how God presented himself, because of what he saw with the donkey, what he saw with the angel, how his eyes were opened, he's kind of forewarned enough. Like you just said, you better not even think about it. You might be successful. You might have all this power, but you don't have more power than the blessing of God.
Could this also have been a foreshadowing moment of Jesus? Because we see that Jesus rode in on a donkey, and we see that for 3 days he was dead. Peter denied Jesus 3 times.
There's 3 is repeated here a couple times. You see God comes to Balaam 3 times. Balaam strikes his donkey 3 times.
Yeah.
And now we're going to see with Balak, he's going to be taken to 3 different spots to try to curse Israel. And what the donkey part of the story kind of revealed to me, it's almost like a foreshadowing of what's going to happen with his interaction with Balak. He's going to be in the donkey's position, like he was on top of the donkey, forcing the donkey and beating the donkey to try to do what he wants to do, but he can't go past the sword and the angel of the Lord in the path.
No, yeah.
Now Balaam is going to be subject to the one giving him the word and being provoked and kind of earnestly pushed by Balak to continually curse. He's going to be stuck 3 times doing what he knows he needs to do. And even like the donkey knelt down before the angel, he himself knelt down and put his face down and kind of prostrated in the same level as that beast, showing that man, beast, all creation is subject to God's final word, God's final blessing. So now we finally have in verse 41, that Balak and Balaam go to a high place of Baal. It says where they might observe the extent of the people of Israel. Now, these high places of Baal, there were these open air shrine that were elevated places of ritual where they would either sacrifice or they would perform a lot of sexual rituals to Baal, actually. And then there was also like the Asheroth. And Jeremiah describes these places erected in the valley of Hinnom, where there would also later for like Molech and Baal kind of connect in the same God. At these high places, these elevated places, there would be child sacrifice. We talked a little bit about that. Actually, we talked extensively about that.
We're
not getting back into that.
No,
we're just saying, but they're taken to these high places so that he can then try to curse the people. And these high places have significance, is all I was going to say, is that just like we've talked before, that God and the Israelites, when he speaks to them, or when he speaks to Abraham, or when he speaks to Noah, or when he speaks to, a lot of these characters, he usually presents himself at an elevated place. The demonic forces like the Baal and the spirits that surround that seek to kind of mimic that, and they also meet in high places. And specifically, the first one is a high place of Baal overseeing the people of Israel, and they begin the ceremony, if you will, to try to begin the first curse. But it ends up being one of 4 oracles that Balaam will present and speak, which will be the 4 blessings of Balaam instead of the 4 curses. What did you want to say, Josh, before we get into the 4 oracles?
Oh, because what you hit on was pretty good with the sacrifices and what happens with the actual Baal worship. And it does kind of tie in with, in an interesting way, maybe this has no correlation, but the fact that Balaam was riding a donkey, which was, I would say, was pretty normal. But he could have ridden, a camel. He could ride a horse. But I guess a donkey is what they had. So he's riding a donkey, and the donkey speaks. Now, I'm going to weirdly, this is going to tie into Shrek. Okay, so I'm going to bring Shrek into this because we see this long journey, all right? And Shrek has, I Googled up and I wanted to see, okay, how many movies do we see that have talking donkeys? Shrek is obviously the biggest one. And then we see Disney, we see Pinocchio, Winnie the Pooh, and the small one. We'll take the small one out and Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh is interesting because of Eeyore and the talking donkey. But Winnie the Pooh, I would say, kind of has some demonic forces with it. But that's a whole different other, I guess, rabbit hole. But with Shrek, wait, because
where are we going?
Let him go. It's fine.
All right, we've been waiting. All right.
With Pinocchio, what we see with Pinocchio is with all these little boys are being turned into donkeys, right? And what is their destination? Their destination is Pleasure Island. And what's with Island? What's with Pleasure Island? They lure all these people in, all these kids, in with fleshly desires. And dude, there's this whole weird kind of crazy conspiracy with this Pleasure Island Pinocchio with all the pedophile, with all these crazy child sacrifices.
Yeah.
Now, who do we also call? The donkey in Shrek is correlated to be one of the children that was on Pleasure Island that became a donkey. So he used to be a child, became a donkey.
Yeah, I've seen that.
There's a conspiracy but continue. I'll debunk that in a second.
Nah,
I know that there's a conspiracy, and I understand that it has.
No, keep going.
Okay, so with that, and then what we see is he's heading to these people that are worshiping Baal, and Baal is literally everything that I just described what Pleasure Island is. It's worship of this and basically becoming like almost like sex slaves and stuff like that, because that is
Baal's
what
the devil, right?
Baal is
the wind and storm god.
Kind of looks like the devil.
And the god
of fertility.
The god of fertility in the ancient
and here's the funny thing is the god of fertility in Greek, she used to be the god of fertility. Now she's the goddess of basically of animals, like of livestock animals, including one of the main ones being the donkey, because she vowed her fertility to, or something of that sort. She vowed her fertility to a donkey. And that was the same one in Odysseus where she started turning all the people to pigs. That story. But I'm trying to say that the donkey aspect of all this is an interesting correlation tying into Baal and tying into what later is going to happen with Balaam and Balak and the Israelites with basically fleshly desires.
It's interesting. I see what connection you're saying. Like they were turned into donkeys after succumbing to their fleshly desires on Pleasure Island in the story of Pinocchio. The story of Shrek comes from the Brothers Grimm classic fairy tale of the little donkey, a king and queen who gave birth to a donkey, and it's like a whatever. I just read a little bit about it. I never knew it exactly, but I knew that it was the movie Shrek was made because there was like a producer in Disney that was fired. After creating like the Lion King, some reason, after creating some of the greatest hits, The Little Mermaid, and some of these biggest Disney hits. And so he was fired when he wanted more than just his salary. He wanted royalties, and Disney thought they could just get rid of him. And he goes and co-founds DreamWorks. And DreamWorks, one of his first movies he makes is Shrek, which is it makes fun of.
It's a like, monster.
It's a mockery of all the classic fairy tale tropes. Disney and a fairy tale. The Brothers Grimm has a story of a talking donkey, but
monster.
That's where that comes from. But yeah, you're right. Talking donkey. It's the only place in the Bible you're going to find it. So it has to be. It's weird that there are stories.
No, there's. So I googled why do donkeys talk in literature, and the AI told me that they often talk in literature due to their association with wisdom, prophecy, and spiritual understanding, particularly stemming from the biblical stories like the donkey of Balaam. Also, another influence would be the fact that Jesus rode on the donkey going into Jerusalem, right?
Which is a fulfillment of prophecy.
Donkeys can be used to represent different aspects of humanity in the world. They may represent humanity, patience, suffering, and even rebellion. For example, in Shrek, Donkey's talking abilities are used to highlight his comedic personality and his role as a loyal companion, as noted by Wikipedia.
Thank you.
Thank you, AI.
I mean, if you want to even look at the political standpoint, what is the main symbol for the Democratic Party?
I mean, yeah.
There's also that, yeah.
A donkey. And what is tied with what is tied with the donkey? The basically everything that we're going to see what Baal loves is all sexual immorality, all these different things is all tied in with it. Yeah,
with the Democrats.
With the Democrats. Anyway, yeah, the talking donkey.
Donkey.
I looked at it like more of a God was using this simple beast to show, like he could see and perceive the accuracy of the spiritual surroundings, and this great and wise and renowned seer couldn't even see the simple things of God's instruction.
Why do these fools be riding on? Why don't they ride on horses?
They're cheaper. They can carry a lot. They move at a good speed. They're easily kept. They don't need a lot of maintenance.
What about camels?
Camels are expensive, man. They're like driving a semi truck as opposed to just buying a
This guy can afford.
This guy was pretty well off, wasn't he?
I don't know. He was well known. Doesn't mean he was rich.
He had a gold earring.
You with your sour pouch, and you with your. I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, wait.
If you have one more snack.
Camels and
what are we doing?
What else? Where else are there? There's camels.
There's camels, horses, donkeys, and
another thing.
Oxen.
Oxen? Isn't there another thing like a camel without the humps?
A yak? What are you talking about?
Why are we all laughing at yak? Because yak's not even funny. Every time I hear yak, I can just do
because it was an unexpected. It was unexpected.
Yak. Or was that Ace Ventura?
Yeah, it was Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura was the yak thing.
Both Jim Carrey, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's a goat.
Are we good to move on past the donkeys?
Goats.
Well,
they don't ride.
That's
goats.
Nobody rides a goat. They're so small.
You can't.
We can move past. That's at the moment. That's
can we get to the
once
portals?
again.
I was
We're
trying.
already an hour.
Yes,
I was
trying, but Joshua,
we can get to the portals
forever, dude. Josh have to go back. And
I keep going back to
said.
freaking Disney movies. For some reason,
this is
Disney
DreamWorks.
is always
this is different.
That's because you have little
it's
kids.
Not.
Stop watching Disney movies with them. That's the only reason you keep referencing Disney movies. That's half your life.
Continue.
Do you have 4 under 4?
I'm pretty sure there's a Disney movie on at all times.
Yes, I have 4 under 4, but pretty soon my oldest is turning 5.
This guy is he sees Disney everywhere he goes.
There's no way. We've been wondering.
It's a small world after all. He sings that to himself at Starbucks while he's holding coffee shaking.
We've been wondering why for 32 episodes Josh only sees connections with Disney movies. It's because that's all he sees.
That's all he's allowed to see.
We're going to bring Marvel.
My parents raised me on Van Damme movies, like true immigrants. That's all I watched when I was a kid. I was like 7.
But it wasn't Van Damme.
Van Damme in
Van
blood
Damme.
sport.
Van Damme.
Like watching blood sport.
Let's go watch a Van Damme movie.
Hey, Jake. That's how he talks. He talks so French.
You're eating ice with your hand.
Well, you don't want me to do the whole thing.
I'd prefer you. It's fine.
Look, you could have this way of
so Balak comes and runs and meets Balaam. All right, he rushes to Balaam.
Here's the thing. I've already set up Balaam, and they're already on top of the mountain.
Please, man, we've set this up for an hour.
You took us back to donkeys. I'm not reiterating the fact that they're on the mountain.
Okay, all right, let's go.
Balaam's first oracle.
I'm not reading every one of these prophecies.
You're reading a couple verses. I did the notes and the research ahead of time.
We're already so late in.
Listen, I'll read it. Oh,
let's get to the portal part.
This is the portal part.
I know. Let's get to it. Don't look at me angrily. It's not that big of a deal.
All right.
I'm like, come on, let's go.
All right.
Balaam is now at the top of the first mountain with Balak, and he does something very specific. He doesn't just go up there and say, all right, let me try to curse him. He instructs Balak to construct 7 altars, and he offers ox, and it was specifically, he makes Balak stand by them, 7 bulls and 7 rams. And after the altars are constructed and the sacrifices are burned, which is interesting. Like, it's so weird. First of all, the 7 is like the number of God. It's the number of completion and creation, which we know. So this is one of the things I was reading.
Name an example.
God created the world in 7 days.
Yeah, I got you. There's 7 fingers on a hand, at least.
One of the things that gives us an indicator that Balaam had some knowledge beforehand, and that he kind of did this as like an attempt to get God's attention. Like, he's like, if I'm going to get the main God's attention to have him speak to me to see if I can curse these people, this is what I'll do. 7 altars, 7 bulls, 7 rams, and the king stands by the altars, and then Balaam specifically goes off by himself to a desolate place. And this is, he'll try to divine or receive, or it says he lifts up his oracle and begins to try to get something from God, right? And 7, not only in the Hebrew world, was something that's holy. Also, throughout the Near East, 7 is known as like a sacred number, probably rooted from the original God and having 7. That be sacred, and how they eventually, through the years, like Balaam, probably didn't serve God but knew of him, and it was something that was symbolic and historically ritualistic. But Balaam is given a word to speak. God places a word in his mouth so that he can go, and it literally tells him, return to Balak, and thus you shall speak. And Nathan, if you could just read verses 7 through 10, the first oracle ends up being a blessing specifically, instead of a curse, the first time.
And he took up his oracle and said, Balak, the king of Moab, has brought me from Aram, from the mountains of the east. Come curse Jacob for me, and come denounce Israel. How shall I curse whom God has not cursed? And how shall I denounce whom the Lord has not denounced? For from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. There, a people dwelling alone, not reckoning itself amongst the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, or number 1/4 of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let my end be like his.
So that's very much so not a curse of Israel. Specifically,
no, but at the same time, that's nothing.
What do you mean?
It's not a curse or a blessing. It's literally just like it sounds like he's...
The blessing is the curse, yo.
He's just saying, how can I curse? How can I... It literally says that he's more numerous. Who can count the dust of Jacob, or number 1/4 of Israel? let me die and let, my end
but
be like his.
It doesn't sound like a message from God. It sounds like this is a word of Balak. But he put a word in his... Yeah, the actual...
word that God put in Balaam's mouth for Balak.
Yes,
sounds
but
like
it
words
says...
for Balak.
If you read it, it literally says, Balak, the king of Moab, has brought me from... Like, it's not...
Yeah, this is the words of Balaam. Balak has brought me, but how can I do what God has told me not to do?
Yes.
How can I curse what God has blessed? And Balak is actually really mad. He gets really upset and says, you instead of cursing them, you've blessed them abundantly. Like, why would you do that? You said, look how great they are. Look how numerous they are. How can I curse them? They're blessed. So Balak's response to this is to get him and change locations. It's like, all right, let's try somewhere else. Maybe if I go somewhere else, he's like, please come with me to another place and you'll see them and you shall see only the outer part of them. You'll only see the outskirts. You won't see the whole camp because obviously you're obsessed with how numerous they are. Maybe if you just see a portion of them from this other mountain, you can curse them, kind of. So they do likewise. It says that he brought him to the field of Zophim and the top of Pisgah, and built again 7 more altars, 7 bulls, 7 rams. And again, he says, stand here by your offerings, and I will meet with the Lord over there. So Balaam is like, kind of just like, all right, you stand here. I'm going to go over there and see if I can get his attention. And it says again that the Lord met with Balaam and put a word in his mouth. And this time he speaks and says,
then he took up his oracle and said, rise up, Balak, and hear. Listen to me, son of Zippor. God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should repent. Has he said, and will he not do? Or has he spoken, and will he not make it good? Behold, I have received the command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot reverse it. He has not observed iniquity in Jacob, nor has he seen wickedness in Israel. The Lord his God is with them, and the shout of the king is among them.
Yet again, blessed. No wickedness in Israel is interesting, since they're constantly being punished for being wicked. I don't know that.
I didn't read the whole thing.
Oh, that's fine. But verse 21 says that there's no wickedness in Israel, and this is kind of interesting from an outside perspective because they're constantly being punished for either revolting, complaining, grumbling, just straight up worshiping a golden calf. And from a human perspective, you would think that there is a ton of wickedness in Israel, and if you're looking at it from their story. But remember that as a whole, as a nation, they're still called, they're still blessed, and as a representation to the rest of the nations around them, God is establishing from an outside source, they are blessed. And because of my presence in them, because of the law and the covenant which they follow, there is no wickedness because they are mine and I have set them apart. As far as you're concerned, Moab and Balaam and the rest of the world and all of Canaan, this is a blessed people whom I have anointed and who I go before. And you guys need to watch out. The second attempt to go and curse their whole camp is going to fail. And instead, he draws out a blessing, which Balaam is, I think that something's happening to him. And I say that specifically because by the 4th, he begins to see things differently. But he recreates this scenario one more time with the 3rd oracle that he lifts up. And Balak, again, is very upset about the fact that he blesses them and says, please come with me. And Balaam kind of says, neither curse them nor bless them. Like, if you can't curse them, don't bless them either. Just don't say nothing. And Balaam kind of stands his ground and says, I've told you, did I not say to you that whatever God will put in my mouth, I must say? You guys, you're blaming me, but I told you from the beginning that it's just going to be what I said.
What God says.
What God says, excuse me. Now,
the third why would he bring him to another? That's the weird thing. It's like, what's another location going to do for him?
What does another location do? Why wouldn't Balaam just stand up and be like, listen, it's not going to happen? Balaam is following Balak throughout these other mountains. He's climbing these mountains to try again. So it kind of tells us a little bit about Balaam too. It's not like while he's receiving words from the Lord and he's correctly recounting them and not changing and saying what only God says, He's still along for the journey, and it speaks a lot. You know what I mean? It speaks a lot to his character, his actual root of his heart, and the intention behind it.
I don't know, because it's not that that's the weird thing. It's not that clear, because the root and the intention is something that I do that constantly, like make a cause and effect for everything that happens. But at the same time, it's not that clear that, because he is doing what God is telling him to do, and he is literally saying what God is telling him to say. It's just interesting that he keeps, that's the weird part, that he keeps going and keeps doing it. But then again, he's not doing anything wrong.
He isn't. Technically, like on paper, he's not doing anything wrong right now. Like, you're right. I say this with hindsight, because hindsight's 2020, and the rest of the biblical narrative, how he's referred to in 2 Peter and Jude and Revelation by later, and even later in Numbers and in Deuteronomy, it's going to be, is like everybody knows, he's not good. Even though, like I said from the beginning, chapters 22 to 24 kind of presents him without a lot of faults to kind of give credence to the narrative and to give his purpose more of a substantial, platform. But needless to say, like I said, he goes with Balak to a third location, overseeing the wasteland on the top of Peor. He doesn't even see the people at this spot. I mean, it's more of, he sees just it's a different third location. Again, he builds 7 altars and prepares 7 bulls and 7 rams. And Balak did as before, as Balaam said, and offered every bull and every ram. And now we move into chapter 24. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he did not go as other times to seek sorcery.
That's key right there.
Hold on. I think I skipped one.
No, you're on 30. It's the third time with the oracle.
Yes, I'm sorry. Because this is very important.
He does not use sorcery.
Something happens to Balaam after these 2, and on the third location, he sees that he's receiving this word from God, and it's affecting him a little bit. And this part in 24 really changed the way I saw Balaam, and I saw that he changed even just by having these interactions with the God of gods. And he saw that it pleased him to bless Israel. He did not go other times to seek sorcery, like the way he was trying to divine a response.
With the altars.
He still built the altars this third time, but instead of going far away into a desolate spot, I don't know if he was chanting or if he was trying some type of sorcery. This verse says that he didn't do it like he did before, but he set his face toward the wilderness. And then it says he raised his eyes and saw Israel encamped according to the tribes, and the Spirit of God came upon him. And I take it back to the beginning of Numbers. Remember when we talked about what the camp of Israel would have looked like from an aerial view when they were aligned in a specific formation according to their population? Again, I don't know if this is for sure fact, but
this
I can imagine
pretty accurate, though.
You can see Balaam with the Spirit of God upon him after looking upon the camps of Israel from a height and seeing a cross formation right in the middle of the desert. And it was like a revelation came to him. And it says that he took up his oracle and said, which means he just began to prophesy again.
The utterance of Balaam, the son of Beor, the utterance of the man whose eyes are open, the utterance of him who hears the words of God, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls down with eyes wide open. How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel, like valleys that stretch out, like gardens by the riverside, like aloes planted by the Lord, like cedars beside the waters. He shall pour water from his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters. His king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. God brings him out of Egypt. He has strength like a wild ox. He shall consume the nations, his enemies. He shall break their bones and pierce them with his arrows. He bows down, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who shall rouse him? Blessed is he who blesses you, and cursed is he who curses you.
It literally says that he changes who he is. He's like the utterance of a man whose eyes were open. Like he saw the truth now. Once he receives word from the Lord so many times, it's impossible that it won't affect you. And it's such a scary implication. because what scared me is this idea that you could be used by God. God can place words in your mouth. You can be close and you can speak the truth, but you could still be known at the end of it as a wicked person if you don't fully devote your life to God. Like there's so many examples of that in this world of different, prosperity preachers and these pastors that just think about growing their membership and the type of false Christianity that's taught and used today. Even though they think they're doing the right thing, even though they think they're living the right way, actually what's happening is that they're seeking their own wealth, they're seeking their own honor, they're seeking their own elevation.
No, I mean, they know they're not living the right way because it is a matter of the heart. And like how you said, you see a change in the heart of Balaam right here.
Balaam is the spirit of God. It's like he didn't do the same thing. He literally looks up to the wilderness and sees the people of Israel, and this is different. You know what I mean? He's changed by the word of God. He's changed by the spirit of God in that moment. And it angers Balak so much that he literally tells him, like, I'm not going to honor you. I know I promised you all this, but you've gone too far this time. Like, you really went out on a limb. I asked you to curse them, and you've abundantly blessed them. And he said, Balaam just said, did I not also speak to your messengers whom you sent me? I told you from the beginning, I will say what God told me to say. Even if you give me a house full of silver, I won't just go against the word of God.
So this whole time.
And he says, fine, I'll leave. That's literally what he says. He's like, okay, now I'm going.
Well, but we see it's like even before, like how everybody keeps trying to correlate back to. I think also God was not just showing Balaam that, it wasn't just a matter of his heart, because I don't know if he was in it for the money at this point. Maybe way before he was, but this whole time he's literally keeps repeating that even if they offer him a house full of gold and silver, just like how he says right now, he says, I cannot say what the Lord tells me not to say. Like, he cannot go against the words of God. So, yeah, it is very intriguing, I would have to say.
It's also like, this is, again, this idea that it's like the Israelites have no idea this is going on, but God is literally like speaking and blessing them while they're just sitting there across from the Jordan, ready to go to the, you know what I mean? They're
but it's interesting that 2
victories. They have
no idea. It's almost like they're being surrounded, like basically with blessings. So because it's not in one spot, they basically are going around Israel, and it's one spot, boom, blessing. Another spot, boom, blessing. Another spot, boom, blessing.
Yeah. It's an incredible thing. And, Balaam and Balak kind of get into it, like I said, and he's like, get out of here. I'm not going to honor you. I'm not going to pay you. You haven't done what I said. You did the opposite. And Balaam's kind of like, I told you what this was from the beginning. You should have known. Fine, I will go. But on my way out, there's one more oracle that he prevented. Like,
let me tell you how they destroy your kid's future.
What happens before that? Yeah, he's like, let me say something to you, but verses 15 to 24, the fourth oracle of Balaam is one of
That's what he says. But he says, come, I'll advise you what this people will do to your people in the latter days.
Yeah.
That's verse 14.
But what he also does here is he doesn't just talk about how the Lord will, or how the Israelites will destroy you, but all the other people. He talks about Amalekites and he talks about that, but he gives a messianic prophecy in the Old Testament, one of the most clear and one of the only ones that we have up until this point into the Bible, which is crazy. Verse 17, if you want to read that, it specifically speaks to a coming Messiah.
I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star shall come out of Jacob, a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and batter the brow of Moab, and destroy all the sons of tumult.
It's like even before that, I love how he starts it now when he goes, it's like the utterance of him whose eyes were open, the utterance of him who hears the word of God and has the knowledge of the Most High, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls down with eyes open. I see him now, but not now. Excuse me. And I behold him,
but not now.
But not near. Yeah. And it's like you see him connected. It's almost like he got connected in that moment for God's purpose. And he's like, this is insane. I can't stop prophesying about this. And he literally prophesies about Jesus.
Well, what if it was about
Israelites
David?
don't even hear this.
Huh?
What if it was about David?
It could be, because David was a king but there could have been named about any king. It's well known. Sure.
No, but I'm saying David was known for this. Like, he was basically a savior that was given to Israel, and they went and they destroyed, literally, basically, like all these nations.
It's true. It's true. A lot of people can use it. They do use that argument against it being a messianic prophecy. Of course, I'm going from the Jesus angle just because I'm a Christian now.
The biggest tie to it is the fact that if he looks out at Israel and if he does see a cross, then yes, I'm going to say that it was a messianic tie to Jesus.
It's the way I kind of saw it, and I think it was kind of like beautiful in that moment to look up and have that third oracle, and then even afterwards, like he's on his way out, he's like, let me tell you what's, like Nathan said, let me show you what's about to happen.
Oh, you're not going to pay me? Okay, let me curse you.
He refers to himself now, like he's like, now my eyes are open, now my ears are open, now I understand.
And he repeats the same thing he said the first time.
Yeah.
Because
he adds more to it. He doesn't repeat it exactly. Like he goes deeper. He's going deeper, and he's connected, and he's given further revelation that goes.
I mean, he looks at Amalek, and then says, "This is what's going to happen to you, Amalek." Then he basically goes to all the nations.
Yeah, it's and then they both go home.
It's a very abrupt ending.
It's like so Balaam rose and departed and returned to his place, and Balak went his way.
And which is interesting because
portals? You guys promised.
Wait, because we
promise you portals.
No, because
if I hear wait one more time, we're going to get to it eventually.
Balak could have killed Balaam, but he didn't. Right? He didn't. Why? Because
why would he have killed them?
Yeah,
that was never a threat.
Presupposed that wasn't the thing.
What? You basically just threatened the nation that you're with right there, saying that your nation's going to get destroyed.
Is like a seer. They're not going to just kill a seer.
Nobody else will ever go to them.
Yeah, that's why. Like to strike them would be like you're striking. Like I'm just saying, from the rule of 300, to kill a seer is like killing somebody that speaks to God. So you're declaring war on God.
Sometimes when a messenger gives a bad message, the king can overreact.
This is not a messenger. This is somebody it's like, there's messengers like, some guy riding a horse giving you a message from somebody else. This is a guy talking. He's like, hey, man, we know that person talks to God. Let's go to him so he could curse somebody for us. You can't kill that guy. Like the first part of that sentence was, I know that guy talks to God. You're not going to kill that guy.
Yeah. Well, one cool thing about... Oh, sorry.
Portals.
Yeah, can we please? Because that's all I heard for 4 weeks. 4 weeks I heard that there's going to be all these portals. Well, so far, all we have was a very, very, very,
you can start
nothing
it. You can
reference
start
to
it.
Shrek.
No, this is your thing.
No. You can start it because I have another Sour Patch I want to put in my mouth.
Both of you this episode, man, with the eating.
Nobody even heard any of it. You keep all they hear is you complaining about it. That's the funny part.
You don't hear because your headphones aren't good.
Whatever. Come on, let's go. Grumpy. You're into the portals.
So let's start it this way. The character of Balaam is interesting because up until about 1960,
his last name Portal.
No. In 1967, an ancient text was found at the Deir Allah, and this is known as the Deir Allah inscription, which tells about
Deir Allah?
Not
Deir Allah. Deir Allah.
D-E-I-R, Allah inscription. It was discovered in 1967, which is super recent, all things told, and it's an extra biblical source that gives a description of a prophet named Balaam, or Balaam of Beor, which is exactly the way it's named, exactly as in the Bible, and it's kind of proved that this person existed and that there was all sorts of. It's like a poetic story of like him being visited at night by different lesser gods and given this apocalyptic vision of how the world is going to be destroyed, and he woke up and wept for 3 days and 3 nights and fasted because of how upset he was about it. And his friends came and he told him about it. And I'm not going to go into exactly what it is, but he's visited in the night by gods which are known as El. Messages from El, the high god of destruction. And he's so distraught, like I said, 2 days, not 3 days. Long story short, he evades the destruction in the apocalypse, but it's a very interesting text that kind of shows that he was a seer and a I wouldn't say a wizard, but someone who convened with other spirits at night and had different visions and powers, if you will. Some people believe, this is very fringe, and this is something that Josh brought up to me, and I had to look into it because I was trying to prepare myself from being blindsided with this idea of what it meant for him to get to the top of those mountains and to sacrifice at those altars, and essentially what is a curse but casting down evil spirits or negative influence upon the people. Sacrificing on those altars or calling upon a curse would be, quote unquote, opening up a doorway or a portal or casting down some type of evil spirits upon the people of Israel. And Balaam, if you put it that way, was opening portals to hell to try to attack the people of Israel. Instead, what he did was he was the opposite. He blessed the people of Israel. God intervened, and through the sacrifices, God blessed the people that he promised he would bless from the curses of the rest of the world. But that is, if you look at
from the eyes of the unseen, basically, like think about it also, Nathan, like the movie Night of the Museum, right? They open up this, it was all about getting this thing to open up a portal so the guy can bring legions in from the underworld. And guess what? The weird thing is that was from Egypt, right? So they're called these people coming out of Egypt, and they're all the way here. And the way how I was saying before that they surrounded Israel and basically he blessed them, surrounding Israel, blessing them. Some people are saying that the initial goal was to surround them and open up these portals for these curses. But the curses, exactly how Andrew was saying, was to allow evil spirits to pour from, not just evil spirits, but like just basically like demons and monsters or whatever, but from the underworld to open up, or not even from the underworld. It could be from different dimensions or whatever. I don't know. But opening up portals to allow these things to come and attack the Israelites.
My only problem with that is that the only reason that he came around them so many times is because he kept blessing them. He didn't originally, I think, intend to go to 3 or 4 locations. I think he was just, every time he failed, he was trying to get a different vantage point.
What if the initial mindset of that time was, and even nowadays, the whole idea of creating an altar is opening up a portal. So when Balak is basically making these portals, he's hoping that it's going to be a portal with a bunch of evil things, curses, right? It's weird to say like, curse these people, because really, like, yes, there is power in words, but why would Balak be so excited? Not just like a little. The dude ran out to meet Balaam to go and dude, how many bulls and rams did he bring with him? Like he came expecting to build
21 of each.
He came expecting to build these altars because he knew that it was going to happen.
I think it happens in quick succession in the book, but it doesn't happen as quickly as we think. I don't think it was all done the same day. It could have been like 3 separate days and 3 separate times. And when it comes to the idea of, from what I've heard, and again, I'm prefacing this with, this is very wooey and very not necessarily biblical, but I've heard this and I was able to see this and I talked to people about this, and there's people that believe this way. I think it's important to try to realign some people's ideas. Not necessarily Disney, but there's a lot of media people where there's spiritual portals and open up, and there's like so many movies where like, at the end it's like you gotta close the bad guys are coming in, like even in Marvel with Doctor Strange.
That's all witchcraft, bro.
They believe it's evil because they believe that the that's how it works, that God needs specific vantage points to be able to come and intercede, intersect. And that could be, quote unquote, why Balak changes the location, because now this portal location has been blessed. This won't work anymore. I got to go to another place. Like vice versa, if once Israelites would defile an altar or a sacrifice or a place, God would instruct them to destroy, and it's always defiled. It's cursed, and you can't even use the land around it becomes cursed when it becomes defiled like that. So people have this idea that you need, like Jacob's ladder, for example. He was in that area, and he said, "Oh, I didn't realize that God was in this place. This must be a vantage point or a portal place where God's presence come down." But that's not how God works.
I mean,
God
didn't he make him build the Ark of the Covenant so they always have a vantage point?
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like, people, if you fall down that rabbit hole, you can be like, well, that makes way too much sense. You know what I mean?
But he did. Did he not?
Yeah, a portable place. I can always go. You have to keep it clean because of this reason. You have to be ritualistically pure so that it's effective.
Just saying he did, but you know
what I'm saying?
He doesn't.
Well,
people think
we do know. I mean, what if the different heavens are different dimensions? Right?
Yeah, we've talked about that God is interdimensional. He's in everything outside of it even. He's beyond it. We have like in this story gives us that idea that all this was happening, like the angel standing in his way. What dimension or what level of reality was it existing to where Balaam couldn't open his eyes to see him? The donkey could see it, but God needed to open Balaam's eyes so that he can see this thing that was always there. So like I said before, what's around us now that we can't see, that God has our eyes closed to? How many levels of reality does God exist within that we are just blind to, and we think all that exists
it's all
is
in the colors of the rainbow, bro. It's all in the colors of the rainbow.
Like
no,
that
seriously.
Famous song. Wait, no. That famous song, "I saw the sign when I opened up my eyes."
Who is that? Who sings that?
The sign. I don't know. Some like Swedish band, I'm sure, from back in the day.
I hate that I know that song.
Ace of Base.
Guess what?
So
how many? With the colors of the rainbow, how many colors are there in a rainbow?
7.
And how many heavens are there technically?
3.
No, 7 heavens.
I know you were thinking 7 because a lot of people misinterpret that, but if you look at it, there's like the lower, the middle, and the upper heavens. I think Ezekiel or somebody breaks it down.
But why?
One of them.
I guess. Oh, so it's like
I ruined his whole thing.
When Jesus comes back, what is his color?
7. What is his color? What are you talking about? When he returns?
Basically, he's wearing like a purple, like a violet, something that symbolizes...
because violet symbolizes like
royalty
and power, kingship.
But it's
when he's presented to John in Revelation, he's...
In other words, the different colors of the rainbows are the different heavens and the different dimensions. So
you were trying, but there isn't 7 heavens. That's a show.
7th heaven.
I might be wrong. I have to relook it up. I'm pretty sure it's.
Are you trying to say the rainbow colors represent different
dimensions
levels in different?
Yes, because
the throne room of God.
It's not like belts in Taekwondo, buddy.
Who provided the rainbow? The rainbow is a gift that God has given to us, saying that He will never flood the earth again. So that is a promise God has put for all of eternity. Basically, and he is stamping it. And I guess his stamp at that moment was a rainbow. Boom.
This is going to blow your mind. Revelations 4 with 3 says, "And he sat there like a jasper and sardis stone in appearance, and there was a rainbow around the throne in appearance like an emerald. Around the throne were 24 thrones, and on them the 24 elders I saw sitting." But I mean, the throne room of God, the way he sits on his throne.
And 7 goes into 24.
No, it doesn't.
Goes into 21, but that's less than 24. But if you add 3,
there's a rainbow
that accounts for the Trinity.
There's a
it's 7 goes into 21.
But there's a rainbow.
There's a rainbow behind the throne room of God. Like behind his throne, the light that emits from God through the stones that construct his throne emit a rainbow behind it. On a sea of glass and emerald, jasper, and sardius.
So I'm not crazy.
Portals, huh?
So you see what I'm saying? Like even Nathan was like, I mean, like whenever it gets defiled, quote unquote, a location, even by like someone's death or someone's betrayal, like the what was it? The plot of land that was used to buy up Judas's. They used
Judas the vampire?
No, okay, my bad. I'm getting.
You think that angel told us all? You shall not pass.
That's 2 episodes in a row.
I know it is.
Anyway, Balaam. Oh my gosh.
Call back.
No. Balaam's name and story become infamous later on.
Or famous.
And he's referred to many times in the Old Testament, as we alluded to already in the episode. He's referred to as one who loved the wages of wickedness in 2 Peter chapter 2. Jude also echoes that same sentiment, associating Balaam with selling one's soul for financial gain.
He's the worst.
And then finally, Jesus speaks of Balaam as he warns the church of Pergamum in Revelations chapter 2, saying, there are some among you who hold to the teachings of Balaam, who taught Balak to entice the Israelites to sin so that they ate food sacrificed to idols and committed sexual immorality. You see, what happens next in the story in chapter 25 is that there are Moabite women from Balak's kingdom that are sent into the people of Israel, and they entice them, and they pretty much end up worshiping. A lot of these people fall after these pagan priestesses and these gods, and they defile themselves before the Lord and completely turn away from God. And actually, I need to pull this up. This is where we're gonna end the story with this final story, but we do got to get into it a little bit.
What are you pulling up? The story itself? Oh, you were in Revelation.
Now Israel remained in the acacia grove. That there's some significant there. I'm not going to get too much into it, but the grove is often referred to like, it's a sacred area where there was a lot of pagan practices and religious practices. Like these groves were known as Asherim, and were frequently linked to different like Asherah groves. If you ever heard of those,
because the tabernacle
they were frequently used as like
wood.
The Shield was the Ark of the Covenant. The worship of Canaanite deities also happened a lot, notably the goddess Asherah in these groves. But
I know Angel Grove.
I don't.
Nice.
You know where that's at?
No.
It's the city they live in Power Rangers.
That's awesome. The Moabite women began to invite people to sacrifice to their god.
So mad with that. Oh man, yes, Power Rangers.
So if Balak couldn't successfully get Balaam to curse the Israelites, what's known in hindsight from the furthering of the story is that Balaam instructed Balak, how to corrupt Israel.
Seduce.
If I can't curse them directly, they can curse themselves by this seduction. Send that to them. I know that's their weakness. And they become joined to Baal of Peor.
Where does it say that he said this? I forgot.
I don't think does it say that he actually said that?
Mm-hmm. It's in Numbers. Let me see here. I think it's in chapter 31. Hold on. I should have had that on my notes. That would have been good.
Well, anyways, Angel Grove was a place where Zordon found the teenagers to battle the evil witch empress Rita, who was locked away. But Zordon found some worthy teenagers in Angel Grove to take on the mantle of the Power Rangers and fight against Rita, who eventually teamed up with a Lord Zed, who was the actual power in the universe. And they got married eventually. But the Power Rangers always stopped them.
It's chapter 31. My internet's really slow right now. I want to read the exact verse. Take vengeance on the Midianites. Okay, let's see here.
I mean, you just tell me what verse it is, buddy. In the meantime, go Power Rangers. Numbers 31, huh?
Okay, yeah. So look at those women that caused the Israelites who caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to trespass against the Lord in the incident of Peor, which this incident will later be known as.
What verse is that?
This is Numbers chapter 31. It was specifically verse 16.
Look, these women caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to trespass against the Lord in the incident of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord.
Yeah, so what ends up happening is that they join themselves, essentially creating fornication and different sacrifices to Baal of Peor here with the Moabite priestesses is what they were, but they were prostitutes. And God instructs Moses and tells them to take all the leaders of the Israelites and hang the offenders before the Lord out in the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord will turn away from the Israelites. And Moses tells the judges to take every one of his men and kill the ones that were joined, quote unquote, or had sacrificed or had lain or had implicated themselves with this ritualistic practice. And it was this very interesting part of the story where one specific child of Israel, it says, brought a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation. And actually, it says the children who were weeping at the door, now there was a plague going on, and they were going in before the Lord essentially to create a defilement of the tabernacle. And Phinehas, the grandson of Aaron, the son of Eleazar, when he saw it, that they were going into this sacred place to essentially, I believe, fornicate, he grabbed this javelin and he thrust them both through their body in one skewer stick through both of their flesh and pinned them to the ground. And it says that when he did that, God was so impressed with his zeal that he stopped the plague in that moment. And he accounts it to the fact that Phinehas was the one that turned back the wrath of God because he was zealous with the zeal of God for his temple. I don't know why nobody else stood up and tried to stop these two from walking into the holy place and trying to defile. But it's like this guy literally brazenly walked in with his Midianite woman and was like, this is cool. This is what we're going to do. And Phineas took action into his own hands. That's crazy. That's a crazy story. I'm sorry.
That's how he got Phineas and Ferb.
Exactly.
That's where you get it from.
That's
actually the plot of Phineas and Ferb. That's the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
The way that he kills them was it's almost exactly what you were saying. It's like a cry, like a war cry type of, like, he's running up to them with this spear, like all with everything he's got, and he hits them both. And the weird part is, it's like everybody has been seeing these elders being like they were hung, right? That's the best.
Not just the elders, but everybody who was. There were people weeping at the door of the tabernacle because while this is happening,
why was
God
this continuing to happen? That's the question. Why was it continuing to happen?
You would think that after it says 24,000 people were dead up until that point before Phineas stabs these two people with a javelin.
Do you think that these women who basically were they were priestesses of Baal, right? Concubines of Baal, but it was all a meant of worship. I almost kind of correlated a little bit to let's say the sirens or mermaids where they would seduce
seductress evil women that pull men to their watery doom.
The reason why they had to die, because once they had you in their grip, they ate you were theirs. Well, yes, but I'm saying, like, you were theirs. Like, once these men defiled themselves with them, they became one. They were no longer part of God. They had to die because now they were the plague. God brought down a plague, but whatever was happening, they were the plague. All these men that have conjoined.
Almost describing the Walking Dead plot. Like,
basically.
Like, you're just you're saying they made them zombies without saying they made them zombies.
They didn't make them zombies, but
There was an infection that was spreading.
They were the infected, like The Last of Us.
I think they were just a bunch of horn dogs.
And physically.
Maybe the women were really attractive.
That's what I'm going with.
By that, they're just like really attractive women. And
that's for sure what it was.
These guys have been seeing a bunch of land-dwelling women forever, and these are like some well-kept city girls. You know,
here's what I think.
And they've been used to their like tent carrying
their cousin.
Yeah,
like, literally just a big family trip.
Look, wait a second, you could be clean.
They were clean. Remember, they were clean physically, but they knew how to belly dance. Got them all hot.
Why did Balak wait? Why couldn't Balak just do this from the beginning?
Well, it was under the instruction of Balaam. Balaam gave him the idea. He knew the weaknesses because he intimately knew the Israelites at this point, understanding how blessed they were and knowing the knowledge of God. He's like, well, I know what will defile them before that, God. And so a way that he was able to get his payout, if you will, that's why later he was referred to as like someone who sells his soul for wages or, after monetary gain, is that he probably went back after getting mad and leaving. He was like, man, I could really use that payday though. So listen, I can't curse them, but if you go and you send out these women from this temple, I know for a fact that they're going to straight up they're going to destroy themselves. What if he thought that it wasn't going to work? What if he thought that, man, these guys are so blessed, so protected by God that no way this is going to work. But I'm just going to try to go get a payday and tell them to do this. So in Balaam's mind, he's like hitting two birds with one stone. He's getting his money and basically leading the Moabites into this kind of false reality of thinking that they were going to win. But it actually ends up working. We shouldn't read that much into it. Balaam knew it would work. He instructed Balak to do this.
There's literally half a verse just talking about
it. No, because it's weird. It's weird.
It's not that weird. It's weird because you're trying to dive into something that you shouldn't deep dive into.
We just went down this whole train of the heart of Balaam has changed, and we see that his eyes are open.
Changed. I just said that he was changing in that moment, but that was like crazy because we know that he's actually wicked, and it's like that implication. I'm actually going to use this as my greater meaning, is that idea of the way that if you don't. Well, I mean, I had more, but whatever.
No, it sounds like you're just going into the greater meaning, so go ahead.
No, I was saying that later I'm going to use that for my greater meaning, but we should wrap this up because we're at like 2 hours at this point.
I know. But we never finished the portals. Basically, altars.
No, we did.
We so finished the portals.
Yes,
we got the portals.
You just want to repeat what we said.
You really like portals.
Well, I think you mentioned portals than anybody else this episode.
Yeah, because you guys kept.
We would have gotten to it when
gave me a lot of portal amuse bouche, but yet the appetizer was wanting. No, the main. I don't know. Whatever.
The main course was wanting.
Yeah,
sure.
The main course. Whatever.
Okay.
So okay, the hot women seduce the guys.
There's a plague that kills 24,000 of the Israelites.
It's just 24,000.
Just 24,000 dead like that.
Those are Ricky
Balaam knew that would work and instructed Balak as to do that so that he could at some point get some money for being a successful diviner. You know what I mean? His reputation, he didn't want to take an L in his book. Like a lawyer, he's like his wins were more than his losses.
It's weird to see that later on Moses, one of his last moves is as this big vengeance thing against not Moab, but Midian.
Because they were both there. They were both.
But these were Moabite women.
Them. It literally says to trouble them and attack them later because of this. But harass the Midianites and attack them. For they had seduced you. That's how the chapter ends.
They murked them.
Midian, you're right, not the Moabites. But they were together. Remember, they were like two nations kind of coinciding. So that was known as the incident of Peor. That would be referred to later. How the Israelites would just fall into seduction and become wicked. Now, this episode's going to end. I'm not going to take time on chapter 26. We're not going to go into another sentence. But what ends up happening is that everybody is dead from the first generation, except for Joshua and Caleb. That's literally the last verse of chapter 26 literally says, none were left of the ones at Sinai except for Joshua and Caleb. And the number of fighting men that they have at the end of chapter 26, as opposed to how many they had at Numbers chapter 1, was 601, 730 fighting men over the age of 20. In Numbers chapter 1, there was 603, 550. So they're down about 3,000 people, or 2,000-ish people, if you will.
Because they keep after all this, and isn't it kind of weird that Moses' wife is a Midianite?
We talked about that a little bit, yeah.
Not in this episode, we didn't talk about it.
Remember, they're old now. We talked about how Jethro was dead. This is way after. So any attachment to the Midianite people, the tribe that Moses knew with Jethro was different than the nation that is living with the Moabites.
Think so?
100%. So that's where we're going to end today's episode. I think we went through a lot. It was definitely longer than I anticipated, but it always is that way.
Always longer than.
That's why I didn't say it's going to be a short one. I'm not going to go into a really long, drawn-out greater meaning. I think I kind of said it already in the episode about what I believe. At the end of the day, just because you're someone who does something good in, say, the church, or you serve in some way, or you preach, or you sing, or you have some type of talent where you are used, and just because God gave you the grace that he uses you from time to time, does not negate or change the fact that if you live with a wicked heart and your intentions are never changing and you never repent, then in the end, ultimately, you aren't saved. And you're not going to make it, because there's going to be many on that day that say, did we not prophesy? Did we not preach? Did we not cast out demons? Did we not serve you? And Christ is to say, depart from me, because I never knew you. And that's one of the scariest verses in the Bible, to know that people can have a Balaam moment where the Spirit of God comes upon them and reveals the truths of the future and the grand plan of Christ to this wicked seer. And he still ends up being known as a horrible example later on, that we find that he still didn't understand the full meaning and didn't change from who he was. He didn't have to be an Israelite to follow God. He could have understood after receiving that truth and being used, turned and truly repented. But instead, he went after that everyday, glory and that money, instead of wanting to serve the one true God. And we need to be careful of that. That's my greater meaning. Josh?
That was a good one. My greater meaning in this is going to be basically, I would say, about the donkey. It's interesting with the donkey that the donkey is able to see things like animals. Not saying that with our lives, some people have dogs, some people have animals, and I'm not trying to correlate it in a way. It was like, oh, well, you need to have animals so they can see the spirits around you and stuff like that. But it's interesting how something so simple can see things that we who are so advanced cannot see. And that these simple things in our lives, and it doesn't have to be an animal. It could be anything. It could be your car. And I love it. A car is always used in so many sermons. So it's if you have a flat tire, that bad sign, that thing that you think has just ruined your day, is something that is protecting you from something that probably would have killed you later on. So it just... It's amazing to see the simple things as the signs that, hey, maybe this donkey, I can hit it as much as I want, but this donkey is protecting me from something that wants to kill me. And that thing that wants to kill me is from God, which was wild. That's a whole different other thing, but still.
Going down a different route.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh.
But for us to be more vigilant in our lives, to be looking at the small things, and to praise God and to worship him in all the small things, whether it's good or bad, because God is the grand orchestrator of our lives. And he sets these things basically as like, little clues for us to follow. And if we stay with our hearts open and with our minds and our ears open to listening to God, we can see them.
Okay.
Nice.
He started that off by just saying donkey.
Donkey. Let me tell you something crazy that you didn't know that I don't know about that actually happened to you.
Yeah.
Did you have a flat tire?
Nathan.
Yeah, I did. Yesterday. It was not that big of a deal.
No.
All right. So,
no,
I mean, it ended up taking you, like, making you take the day off and not driving. And you never know. Like, that's what's crazy. Josh had no idea. And,
yeah, that's true.
And you never know what you looked at it like. Man, look at this crazy, annoying inconvenience. This pay. I have to buy a new tire, get it towed. You don't know. What if something horrible would have happened on the way to work? You drive an hour.
Yeah.
Should always look. Josh's greater meeting was amazing. Anyway,
no, that was good. It was reference. No, it was good.
Relevant.
It was
prophetic.
Good. Yours was good too. Honestly, the greater meaning, both of you guys kind of like this happened 2 weeks in a row where like what we read is kind of like.
I love that the donkey once again was used in a weird prophetic way.
Once again,
it wasn't.
We talked about like the whole thing with donkey and the prophecies, and Jesus rode the donkey to fulfill a prophecy.
Well, you mentioned that. Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry I cut you off, Nathan.
I mean, there's not much more I can honestly add in terms of like a greater, because there's not like another third, deeper meaning to this. And the only thing I could kind of take away is, something that Andrew did say earlier in the episode that, God fights on your behalf even when you don't know that he's doing it, right? So, like, the Israelites, all this whole story is going on, and the Israelites are, like, just oblivious. They're just in the fields, just chilling, right?
Sex deprived.
All this, well, that comes eventually, but they're just chilling. All this plotting against them is going on behind their back. And it's something that you could think of. You got to understand one thing as a life of a believer. We're always like, we do so much to try to get closer to God. We try to do our part. We try to be a good person. We try to go to church. We read the Word of God, and we set aside time for prayer, and we say we're doing this much and we're doing that much. Do you know how much the enemy is doing to plot against you at any given moment and any given day? If you think you're working to get close to God, imagine that the devil is, there's like a lyric, I know, the devil is working overtime in all of his jobs. Your enemy is plotting against you constantly, all the time. That's why it's so important to be vigilant in our day-to-day walk with Christ, right? What does that even mean, to be vigilant? To pay attention. Pay attention to what? Right? Pay attention, like, where do you fail the most? Like, I break it down, like, if there's a certain sin that you're always falling towards, right? And you're like, why do I always fall to this sin? Really, the next time you pray, kind of don't say a word yet and just imagine, okay, I fell into this sin. How did it lead up to there? What's the before? What's the after? You got to be vigilant. Maybe your habits are the wrong habits. Maybe the things you're doing are things you shouldn't be doing. Maybe you need to tweak the way you wake up. Maybe waking up first thing in the morning and dousing a Red Bull and driving to work is not what you should be doing. Maybe the first thing you should be doing when you open your eyes is getting on your knees and praising the Lord, or spending some time in the Word of God. Start the day off that way. If you're saying that you always have road rage, right? You can't have road rage if you just spent, 45 minutes with the Lord. It's kind of going to be a little tougher after a while, just because we read that Balaam is overcome. The more connection he has with God, the more the Spirit of God is speaking through him, and he's like, change. That's what actually happens. The more time you spend with God, the more vigilant you become. But you also got to keep in mind, no matter how hard you're trying, the devil is also trying even harder to pull your soul away from salvation. The devil's intention is for you to be damned for eternity. He takes his job very seriously. Our job on this earth there's twofold. I mean, the most important one is to repent and accept salvation through Jesus Christ. But the second one is to spread the gospel and be a light in this world and spread the positive message that Jesus died for everybody's sin and that everybody is called to salvation through his sacrifice and his blood. And we got to be vigilant for us not to fall into our own temptations. And we got to understand the mechanisms that the evil one uses to lead us to our fall. So that's my greater meaning, is be vigilant. And don't let a donkey have to be the thing to see that you shouldn't be going down that road. You need to have open eyes at all times. So be vigilant, my friends.
1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8 tells us, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Resist him, steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same suffering are experienced by your brotherhood in the world, but that may the God of all grace, who called us to his eternal glory by Christ Jesus, after you have suffered a while, perfect, established, strengthened, and settled you, to him be the glory and dominion forever, ever. Amen.
That's good.
It's just a verse that kind of confirms.
No, 100%. No, that's...
And that is vigilant. The Balaam story.
What a story that was.
We ended with the second numbering of the book of Numbers.
I can't believe we're still in the book of Numbers.
And we still have 10 chapters. So yeah. We get
Arrest the
Midianites next time. We get to find the successor to Moses' leadership. A couple other interesting story points.
I can't wait till the Moses burial.
That's going to be covered next time.
That's one of my favorite stories because, they fight over his body.
Well, that doesn't happen in whatever. Anyway,
I know, but we're going to talk about it.
We still got to go through the book of Deuteronomy. You know what I mean? So,
Deuteronomy.
Which is basically...
After Deuteronomy
is going to be more... It's a book of a recap. It's a reconfirming of the law.
I can't think of Joshua without thinking of VeggieTales. I don't know why, dude.
Larry the cucumber.
Yeah, every time I think of Joshua,
are you with me or are you with my enemies?
Yeah,
I'm so sorry for that impression.
VeggieTales. Oh my god! Why don't you watch that with your kids all day instead of Disney?
Because the original VeggieTales is actually harder to get than the new VeggieTales. And the new VeggieTales, it's just
they have pupils now. It's not weird. It's weird. I don't like it.
And they live in a city.
They revamped the VeggieTale.
Yeah, and it's just not as...
Remember the crappy animatronics, or not the graphics?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me show you this. Look at them.
They have irises, you mean?
I guess that's what that's called. I thought the iris was the black part.
No, the iris is the colored part.
The belly button song was the greatest.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Know. Whatever.
Or the hamburger.
They have pupils. It's the pupil.
I love that hamburger
you're right. The
song.
iris is the pupils is what dilates the black part.
So is the iris with the color?
So they have irises. It's just not good. It's not the same.
Arr! All right, guys.
All right, everybody.
For that merch.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you like what you hear, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on. Follow us on all of our platforms.
We are out of shape.
We're on every social media platform.
We gotta get to shape.
Give us a review. That means more than you believe.
America.
Nathan's officially done. We're gonna go ahead and call it a day.
Oh, you can't even see America.
Journey.
I've been pointing at the wrong thing this whole time.
You've been pointing at I think India.
Africa.
I pointed at Africa.
Yeah, that's gonna be on the internet for all time. By the way,
sucks.
Forever.
Hey, let me tell you something. I never once looked back. I was just kind of looking at that little camera.
Anyway, you guys have a good one. Until next time. Goodbye.
All right. End.